Scott Russell, I want to talk about a scenario with inflation here and the US debt. And I think, I'm dual citizen with the US. I know the US, and the US doesn't go down without a fight. We've watched these movies about, The Big Short and things about the subprime meltdown. But I think the part that those movies missed were the ground floor of that, the street level of people. And I was mixing at the time with the Brazilian community in the US that were selling mortgages. And they were selling them through a system there of the community, of the Brazilian community. And they were selling these things. They had illegal immigrants that would come across and be written up for a mortgage. And they would write in an extra 30 grand, extra 60 grand. They would go to a kitchen hand and have him write to get a mortgage for a house. The guy, they'd pay him 10 grand to let him write something up, and he'd write up a mortgage, and then the guy'd never make a payment. He was not even in the country legally. Then he'd disappear back over the border, and he'd take his money with him. And there was so many things going on, but I was on the ground floor with mixing with a lot of the guys that I knew of at various levels that were involved in that, and they were writing up so many mortgages, it was obscene. And that's the ground floor of what became the subprime meltdown. Now, in doing that, what did the upper floors do? Is they packaged it all into things like hedge funds, and they sold it off to the rest of the world. So the rest of the world carried the US debt. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I've just mixed with very varied groups of people. And I want to present a scenario here with the US debt and what's going on here. They are riding up, spinning with so much debt, and I know there's lots of agendas we've talked about in other videos with the globalist agenda. But, let's talk about inflation. When inflation happens, if you have debt, it's actually an outstanding thing if you have an income source that's not pegged to that inflation. So if I'm in the US and I, get hyperinflation and I'm having to pay out, my debt's $1 million. Well, hyperinflation, that's a shocker if I'm in the country because I don't have the income. My income doesn't keep up with that. But if my income's external, it's outside the country, and it's not affected by that, then that debt's awesome because that $1 million can turn into like I'm paying off $100. And so debt can be just taken care of like that. Here's the thing. They know they're bringing in a new currency. They know that digital currency is coming. How about some of you financial experts that do know what you're talking about? Help explain this. But I think what we're going to see with America is they're printing the money. They know full well that debt is going to get handed off to the rest of the world. Because if they have, it's like another country in a sense. They have the US dollar, and then they bring in a digital currency, a global digital currency. And I've been saying this for years, that when they do that, they're going to overinflate the dollar away. So a loaf of bread might cost you $100 in US dollars, greenbacks, but on the digital currency, or even the central bank digital currency, it might cost you $1. So everybody's going to buy on the central bank digital currency and cash will just ultimately drop away to nothing. They're overinflating cash to make it gone. How about this? $30 trillion in debt and no way to ever pay that back. And it's way up here, and now hyperinflation comes in, and that's crazy. But the US can't finance that internally. There's no way they can do it. But here comes a new currency. And that currency is not overinflated like the rest of the currency in the world. So, $1 could be, in Zimbabwe, we've seen $1 million. $1's gone, a loaf of bread's millions of dollars. So it's pretty easy to make that trillions of dollar debt go down to nothing overnight. The debt is not the problem. Again, it's all about the control of a digital ID. But the US debt will go away, and what they will do is they'll overinflate the dollar. They'll bring in a new currency, which will then pay that debt off because it's not pegged to that debt. Boom, that debt's gone. And when doing that, they're going to say, we've got this new digital currency. If you've got a digital ID, you can be part of it. And look, it's so wonderful. It's going to take care of the US debt. All the US debt's going to go. Because that's the US way of doing things. They don't go down without a fight. And I tell you, they're darn good at what they do. They're smart. They are about to push off their debt to the rest of the world by overinflating it when they bring in a new currency. Does that make sense? Makes perfect sense to my brain. But however they do that, I think that's the bottom level of it. So, yeah, debt, terrible thing. Get out of debt. If you are pegged to the economy that's local or to the dollar system, you're going to have a lot of trouble unless you have a way externally from a BRICS country or somewhere else where you're able to get an income that you can pay that debt. Now all of a sudden your $1 million debt can be zeroed out in no time because you've got an external income that's not pegged to the dollar. So if you're able to do that, get over into Brazil, China, wherever you need to go, one of these BRICS countries, and see what you can do, or even where you are. Be creative. But yeah, if I can see it and I can do it, then yeah, let's go for it.